Welcome everyone. We're so glad that you were able to be here tonight. We know it's the end of the month, but you know what? You guys get an extra 50 points for PC for showing up tonight. We'll let corporate know, okay? John will handle that for us.
That's right. Count me in.
Oh, absolutely. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and play our 10-minute segment of John C. Maxwell talking about the law of timing. And then I'll throw it over to John for discussion. Okay? All right. Hold on one second and we'll get started here.
The 19th law of the 21 irrefutable laws of leadership is the law of timing. And the law of timing says when to lead is as important as what to do and where to go. Now, I've already shared with you that of the 21 irrefutable laws of leadership, there are two laws that are tough to teach. There are two laws that are tough to learn. One was the law of intuition. This one, the law of timing, is the second difficult law to learn. The law of timing, the law of intuition, again, migrate to what we call natural leaders. They're the ones who have those leadership leanings that basically allows them to intuitively feel the subjective side, the artistic side of leadership, that just kind of allow them to kind of sense their way through. And the law of timing is so essential to a leader's success. That's like one of the great songs, You got to know when to hold them. Got to know when to fold them. I love the classics, don't you? Huh? Don't you love the classics? You got to know when to walk away. I think Sir Kenny Rogers did that one. And he was basically saying that there is a sense of timing. There's a sense of intuitiveness that's going to determine your success or your failure. And I want to emphasize that in this law of timing. Many people have been successful in their leadership because they understood the law. Many people have been unsuccessful because they violated the law of timing. In your notes, let me share with you how this law of timing works. The wrong action at the wrong time equals disaster. We've seen that. Very simple. A leader makes a wrong decision, wrong time, timing's wrong, decision's wrong, disaster. You got a titanic issue on your lap. Now, the wrong action at the right time equals a mistake. Now you can see that already it's better. It's still not good, but if the timing was right, even though the action was wrong, it's not as disastrous. Now, the right action at the wrong time equals resistance. People are resistant. Even if it's the right thing to do, if your timing is wrong, you'll find that they're not accepting. You'll find that they're resisting you. Does that make sense? Finally, and this is where you all want to land because this is basically the law of timing. The law of timing is number 4. The right action at the right time equals success. And a classic example in history, in presidential history, of the law of timing is Jimmy Carter. When Jimmy Carter became president, he became president because the country was tired of Washington insiders. Think about it. Watergate, Nixon, Gerald Ford, who pardoned him. Basically, America was saying, we're tired of the Washington insiders. We need somebody that doesn't live in Washington, doesn't go to Washington. And here came Jimmy Carter, the peanut farmer from Georgia. Remember, he had his coat over his shoulder and, "Hi, my name is Jimmy Carter." And we just kind of looked at him and we said, you know, he's the guy I'm going to vote for. Because he doesn't go to Washington. He doesn't look like Washington. He doesn't talk like Washington. We need Jimmy Carter in there. And he literally was elected president because of the law of timing. America was tired of Washington insiders. Now, he was president for 4 years. And during that time, it was not a good time. Interest rates got to 20%. Remember the hostages? Oh, the hostages. Iran took our people hostage, and we didn't get them out. And when we tried to get them out, our helicopters crashed, and it just seemed like we were just bungling everything. Now, things were not going good. Do you remember Ronald Reagan? He had this wonderful, charismatic smile, and all of a sudden we thought, boy, we need somebody that's a little happy, because Jimmy Carter was saying, perhaps the best days in America are behind us. We needed a happy boy. We got Ronald. Literally, when Ronald Reagan was being sworn in as President of the United States, at the moment of his being sworn in, the hostages were being released. It's all the law of timing. And leaders that are successful leaders, they understand the law of timing. They understand when there's a time for action, hey, and there's a time for them to be patient. There's a time to move forward. There's a time to stop. There's a time for thinking. There's a time for talking. They understand this whole law of timing. In Jimmy Carter's situation, timing was a double-edged sword. It took him into office. It took him out of office. What I have found is the best leaders understand the double-edgedness of the sword, but they understand how to use it for the benefit of their organization. Because timing requires the following 7 things. Number 1, understanding. You have to be able to see the big picture. Number 2 is maturity. Very seldom are immature people good with timing. It's their immaturity that causes them to want to rush things. 3 is confidence. I have found that, especially when you have to hold them, that you have to have confidence. You have to believe in yourself. Number 4 is decisiveness, the ability to make decisions quickly, because here's what I found about timing. Timing doesn't wait. Timing doesn't say, it's a good time, I'll wait a while. No, it's in and it's out. Number 5 is experience. And the more successful experience you have under your belt, the better your timing is. And number 6 is intuitiveness. And intuitiveness and timing are first cousins. They always work together. And number 7 is preparation. There's a lot to say about how preparation helps us with the law of timing. I think it was Abraham Lincoln who said, I will prepare and someday my time will come. He understood the value of opportunity. I just did a conference called Reality Leadership. And in Reality Leadership, I talked about the 4 toughest realities that leaders face. And one of those 4 realities is producing positive change within an organization. And we used a case study in that lecture. And the young man who was in the case study spoke about the fact that several things had happened in his organization, and he was getting ready to relocate his company. And finally said, I knew it was time to lay it on the line. In other words, I knew it was time to ask for the big decision, the big vote. I knew it was time for us to make the big move. And what I'd like to do in closing this law with you is I would like to give you some indicators of how do you know in the area of timing when it is the appropriate time to make the big decision. How do I know when, as a leader, I lay it on the line and say, hey, okay, gang, let's go forward? Number 1, after you have defined reality. Don't lay anything on the line. Don't ask for any decision in the area of timing until you've defined reality, until you really can say, this is what I know is true about our company and true about our organization. After you have defined reality, that's when you lay it on the line. Number 2, after you have identified the issues. In other words, after you've not only seen what reality is, but you identified every one of the issues that are going to need to be hurdles that you can overcome before you can make the big change or the final decision. Number 3, after you have met with the influencers. Remember, we've illustrated in other laws that you've got to meet with your influencers, you've got to meet with your inner circle, you've got to meet with your key players and have the meeting before the meeting. So after you have met with your influencers, that's when you can make the big decision, because timing then will be appropriate. Number 4, after you've received buy-in from them. Just like the buy-in that says, the law of buy-in that says people buy into the leader before they buy into the vision, you've got to have buy-in from your influencers again before you can make the big decision and make the big change. Number 5, after you've communicated the vision. You only lay it on the line. You only understand the timing of an important decision after you've communicated vision. And number 6, after you've modeled the behavior that you desire in others. You've got to model that behavior because people do what people see. So after you've modeled the behavior that you want to see in others, that's when you begin to lay it on the line. And number 7, after you have overcome each one of those issues, you've not only identified the issues, but you've overcome those issues. And now, all of a sudden, you're becoming successful, and you can point to your success and say, look how well we're achieving. Now, after you do those 7 things, then you lay it on the line. Then you make the decision. It's a timing issue. And again, great decision makers understand that the timing of the decision is as important as the decision itself. Remember this: the right decision done at the right time equals success. That's what the law of timing is all about. Knowing how to maximize your profits and knowing when to cut your losses. You can't hang on to your losses too long. That's the law of timing.
Over to you, John.
Wow. Okay. What a handoff. Well, thank you.
Oh,
Yeah.
did you need me to do something else?
No, you're great. No,
I'm here to serve.
you are serving. You are an awesome servant. Hey, listen, first big thanks to Brenda, Jane, Teresa for kind of picking up the mantle, running with it. Appreciate it. I think anybody here at this point of being 13, 14, 15 weeks, 16, 17, 18, 19 weeks into maybe a little bit more with the 21 irrefutable laws, I would like to think is ready to pick it up and kind of run with it at any point that they see fit. But a couple of things kind of, in my notes for you guys, the law of timing, when you think of chapter 19, just kind of the kind of how it starts with timing and intuition. I always parallel Legal Shield to this, and I parallel really business practices to this. If I think back over 35 years, and what's the word I want? It proves itself time and time again that we're doing the right thing. Because over 35 years, when I consider the law of timing, timing, intuition, I'll come over to all 7 of the adjectives in the words that he brought up. But that's why we've always discussed the 90-day plan. The 90-day plan, that's why it's so critical to your business. All right. And I'm going to come back to that in just a second. The daily method of operation, that's why it's so critical to your business, and next to the DMO, you should put realistic expectations, because when we're talking about a 90-day plan, I'm talking to you first. And number 2, then you're talking to your team about it, because, you can't teach what you don't know, and you can't lead where you won't go. And so that's the importance of we first, and then the team second. I can talk about the 90-day plan better than all of you combined. I've had more 90-day plans than probably all of you combined. I've failed at more 90-day plans, almost probably more than all of you combined. That's how many 90-day plans in 35 years I've messed up, but it's okay, because each 90-day plan I had, I came up for air. I took a little break in my head. I got a little, time off, not a lot, because I wanted to come back in. I wanted to be successful. And I'd make a new 90-day run. And each 90-day got better. But guess what? In that 90 days, I would start to find some momentum. I would start to find some timing. I would start to find that my experience would start to pay off. So there's another thing that John mentioned, the right action at the right time. Well, we could wrestle with that just a little bit. Okay. The right action at the right time. How do you know you've got the right action at the right time? I don't know if you ever know if you've got the right action at the right time. Did Harlan have the right action at the right time in 1972? What would y'all say?
No.
I'd say, okay, I see Robert, no. Brenda kind of shaking his head, no. The right action at the right time. Others would say, yeah, maybe he did, because if you look at the company today, in other words, in 1972, it was maybe the right action. I don't know if it was the right time because nobody was really ready for prepaid legal plans. Even attorneys were like, oh my gosh, what are you talking about, right? It was in the right action at the right time in 1987 or 88. Was it the right action at the right time for Harlan Stonecipher? When he and Shirley had to sit down and sell the furniture in their house and do other things to just make payroll. Was it the right action at the right time when he called in Wilburn Smith, Cleve Pickens, Ken Moore, and all them and said, I can no longer pay advance commissions. I'm going to have to pay you as earned because we don't have the payroll. I think we can all wrestle with that a little bit and say, well, it might have been the right action, might not have been the right time. But fortunately, Harlan had some people around him who said, look, we see the vision, we see the big picture, we see the purpose. You know, Ken Moore stayed, Wilburn stayed, Cleve Pickens stayed. Many of the Richard DeVasto stayed. I can go back to all those guys. They all stayed, even though they weren't making money, because you know the purpose was bigger than the opportunity, or I guess than the moment. You know, so I'm going to come back to this a little bit more. But Jane, what do you think? You got your hand up? Go ahead.
Yeah, I think that it was absolutely the right time. We're judging that as if the right time means he's going to skyrocket and be an overnight success. And we all know that's not the case, right? In most cases. And I think everything he did was at exactly the right time for what it was. If he, let's say he had waited 10 years and maybe looked into it more and built it up, another 5 companies could have come up. But he did it first. And I think that's what we need to remember. He did it first.
I really like the way you wrestle with it and kind of think through it, because what you're saying here, and this wasn't really in the chapter, and John didn't say it, is the right action, the right time, doesn't necessarily mean success right away, right? So to your point, it was the right action, the right time. It didn't mean success. It didn't mean riches, you know, in 2, 3, 10, 15 years. But guess what? Success ultimately came. And that's kind of why I parlayed the 90-day story in there for all of you. And why it's important to play that 90-day story more than once, more than 6 times, more than 7 times. All I'm going to tell you is you're going to find a 90-day plan that where 3 or 4 failed, maybe 7 failed. I don't think you have to fail as many as I did. You know, you guys are smarter, you're better, we got a better opportunity today. You know, but the whole thing is your right action, right time will pay off. You know, Darren, go ahead.
Yeah, I think it was the right time. Just from him having that accident, he wasn't the only person who had an accident that year, that day, or whatever across North America. But he had faith and he made a decision, and he can imagine that he wasn't the only person. I'm sure others had that same accident and probably went through those same legal issues, but it was him who stepped out on faith to say, I'm going to make a decision to do something about it. Where others just said, oh, well, there's nothing we can do about it. I'll just have to deal with it. So I'm sure there was other people who had that accident that same day on a road similar to that, just driving down the road, and they weren't at fault. But he said, I'm gonna believe that I can make a difference, and I have faith that it'll happen.
Yep. Yeah. Something else y'all should put in your notes around this when it comes to the law of timing and the right action at the right time is here's, and I'm just going to kind of speak to Harlan for a second. Harlan realized that ignorance on fire was better than knowledge on ice. To Darren's point, he's like, well, or no, to Jane's point, I'm sorry, you know, he didn't procrastinate and kind of go through the knowledge on ice thing. Well, 10 years, let me kind of think this through. Let me kind of walk this out. Let me get all my ducks in a row, and then we'll give it a shot. And then to Darren's point, there could have been 10 other companies that have cropped up maybe by then. Maybe someone else thought of that idea. Another one, here's one for you. And this should speak to a lot of you guys. The chains of worry. The chains of worry are heaviest in idle moments. You know, and then I'm going to throw this one, the right action at the right time. Here's all I know is life rewards deserve, not need. And let's just look at page 238 for a second. Life rewards deserve, not need. All right. Harlan was in need, but guess what he was rewarded by? Deserved, because he had a work ethic. You know, he was up at 6, went to bed at 11, and everything in between was he was bleeding prepaid legal, right? So when you look at when the right leader and the right timing come together on page 38, incredible things happen. Well, guess what? One of the ingredients is already taken care of for every one of us. And what ingredient do you think that is? When the right leader and the right timing come together, incredible things happen. What is the one ingredient right now that has played out for the last 25 years and is going to play out for 15 to 20 more? What is that one ingredient in that sentence that's already played out? What'd you say, Derek? Huh?
Belief?
No, let me pick it right out of the box I'm reading. When the right leader and the right timing come together, incredible things happen. What do we have going for us already?
Are you talking
Right
about
leadership.
cycling?
The need? The need.
We
Right,
have
leader.
leadership and timing all together in one.
Okay. The thing that each one of us have right now is the timing of Legal Shield. The timing in respect to our company. When some of us got started 25 years ago, it was about a 1% market penetration. People need it, people want it, people can afford it. We're the only game in town. Can we still say that today? Absolutely. We have maybe 3% market penetration. The timing for us today is something we don't need to discuss. You can't argue it. You can't say, I think so, you know, is sure as the sun comes up in the morning and sets at night, the timing for our company is as good today as it's ever been. Is that fair? Okay. So what's the one other denominator that we need to discuss in that? Because the timing's here.
The leader.
Leadership.
The leader. The leader. I'm preaching to the choir for a second, because if at this point for each one of you on chapter 19, if you cannot look in the mirror and unequivocally say, I am better today than I was January 1st, we haven't messed up, you have. Okay? Because we've laid the groundwork. We've brought the ground school. It's whether you want to apply yourself or not, or how you want to see it, belief, faith, you know, living in the unseen. Okay. So the whole thing is again, I'm kind of preaching to the choir, but I would say this to each one of you guys. And that's why it's important to carry this forward. And that's why it's important to duplicate this. And whatever we choose next, that you have 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 of your associates on this, so that they have their associates on this, and they maybe even their guests on this, is that each one of you have done something that a good portion of this world has not done. And you have gotten into the 21 irrefutable laws of leadership. Except for my dear friend Brenda, who forgot to read the chapter last week. I'm going to give a sidebar call to her later. But anyhow. Teresa,
I was honest. I was honest.
I know you were. I know you will read the chapter because I know you. Teresa, what were you going to say?
Well, 3 things. Number one, I think about timing. We might not be here right now had Mrs. Stonecipher not sold her furniture. So
That's
the
right.
commission, you know, so I, you know, who I'm thinking about if I had to sell all my furniture, would I want to? I don't know. I'd probably be like Whoopi Goldberg in Ghost when she had to give the money to the nuns. So, that was number one. And number two, we did find the right time and the right action and the right time resulted in success. We clearly saw that in 1998 when
That's right.
TPN and prepaid legal merge. We saw that. We absolutely saw that. So that's what I wanted to say, that
Well,
the company turned. They turned the corner, because even with our previous company, John, we loved the product because it was personal development, but we didn't have a compensation plan. Legal Shield had a great product and they had a great compensation plan too.
yeah.
So it was right action, right time. Although some of us had trouble seeing it initially.
Well, I'm gonna say this, and yeah, absolutely. And I mean, and it's okay. I mean, you kind of see it, then you see it. You kind of see it, and then you lean on someone else who truly sees it. Stuff like that. But I'm hoping that every one of you can look in the mirror and say, "Hey, I had a selling my furniture moment." If you haven't had a selling your furniture moment, then you're not ready for success. Because you haven't been willing to step out and get really, really uncomfortable. You follow me a second? In other words, Teresa, when I think about, how I love Bill and Annette Hamilton, they're just, man, my brother and sister, they're just such dear friends. And I get goosebumps kind of when I think about them. I wish you guys could have a little bit more time with them, like maybe Teresa and I have, but I believe it was a Grand Am that they drove. It had like almost 300,000 miles on it. They would drive down dirt roads, back country, and spend weekends and weeks in people's homes. And they put 200,000+ miles in maybe just a couple of years on that car, living in people's homes. They had sell the furniture moment, because do you think they wanted to do that? Do you think that they got excited about doing that? They did, because they had amazing attitudes, but they didn't always want to be living on the road like that. I didn't want to be living in Lansing, Michigan on Wednesdays, Chicago on Friday, Saturday, or Detroit on Friday, Saturday, saying goodbye to my wife and my 3 girls to build this business. It was lonely. It was tiresome. God saved me. I don't know how many times I'd be driving home from Detroit to Grand Rapids. It'd be snowing out in Michigan. I'd fall asleep at the wheel probably 6, 7 times.
Ooh.
I don't know how many Mountain Dews I drank. I don't know how many times I kept that window open, freezing my butt off so I didn't fall asleep, but there was a couple of angels around me that kept me alive. We have our sell our furniture moments. And if you haven't had that, then you might not be ready for $100, $250, $300, $400, $500,000 in income. You got to have that sell your furniture moment. So anyhow, Darren, I mean.
You said right the first time, John. I just wanted to share that when you said in January, I'm not the same person. Even going back to working with Jerome, the broker, we're still in contact. So we're working on that. But I went to a BNI event last week. I was invited to. I dominated the room because of the leadership here.
Good.
I was a guest. I spoke. And it was ironic that I spoke after the attorney who was in front of me, who's part of my chamber, who's actually a referral attorney for Legal Shield. And I said, everyone in here is a potential member and a business associate with me. I have no competition in this room. And I had a meeting with a young lady who's the district manager of ADP payroll today. And that's because of you, John, that I'm able to speak to these folks with the conviction and passion about what we do. And when I showed her the plan, she couldn't believe it because she does the payroll deduction and she see what we have for value compared to all the other companies that do voluntary benefits. And she was floored by this. So we're looking to partner with her. And she even said that even if we find her client, she's willing to give us a $500 referral fee just for working with her on her side of the floor. So this is because of you and his leadership here, and we follow the Emile Coué formula day by day. In every way, we're getting better and better.
Mm-hmm.
We're
Very
getting
nice.
better and better. And I'm excited about being a part of this organization and learning how to be a professional. Finally taking Duran serious.
Yeah. Well, I like it. So let's all give Darren a pat on the back from the standpoint that you accepted the opportunity and then took action. You know, you said yes to showing up. You said yes to engaging in everything that we're doing, and boom, you put it into action out there in the field. So speaks volumes. That's fantastic. Anybody else that wants to share anything? And Daria, go ahead.
Yeah, so when I think of the right leader and the timing, so timing is relative. There's no, because timing is actually man-made when you look at the clock, right? But the timing that they're talking about here is when the passion ignites and it burns from within. So passion serves within and purpose serves without, because that's how we know that we're that's the right timing, because there is no such thing, not in the 3D world anyway. Right? Because that's how they keep track of time, by the clock. But when it comes to manifesting, we're talking about 5D, where it's open, it's vast, there's no limitation. So that's where the passion begins to grow, because it takes time to really take hold of what it is that we're looking to do, because there is no blueprint, because we can't see what's in front of us, because we're creating as we're going along, right? So because oftentimes I like to think that Legal Shield found me, because I wasn't looking for Legal Shield, even though I needed it at the time, but I was invited to a meeting and I was like, well, where was it when I needed it, right? So when I decided to take on the challenge to promote it and share with others, over time, I began to grow into the person that I am today. And so that's what my take is on the right time and the right leader, is the passion that is awakened within, and the purpose serves without.
Yeah, good. Yeah, all good. I would say this, and I think I followed you pretty much through all of that, but and I'm glad Legal Shield found you. That's a beautiful thing, and we hear that a lot today.
Yeah.
You know, whether it's the 3D world or a clock on the wall, I would say this. Does your inner drive, does your inner hunger recognize that something like this might not come along again in your lifetime? See, that's where sense of urgency and fear of loss come into play for John Hoffman. When Teresa and I first discussed this 25 years ago, I didn't know what the future held, but I knew that if I had 2 years, 3 years, or 4 years with this company, with the right sense of action, I could probably secure my finances in a pretty healthy way, because timing was right. Thank God all of us have had, I mean, some of us, Teresa and I have had 25 years.
27, John. You forget our anniversary every time. 27. 27 in September. Come on, say it with me.
27. That's the difference between male and female. Okay. Teresa's my online wife. She reminds me and she handles all my details. Okay. All right. Teresa, 27. And my point
in September.
And my point being, you don't have another opportunity at Bitcoin. You don't have another opportunity to invest in Amazon at the early stage. You don't have an opportunity, NVIDIA, you don't. Okay. And we still have that timing opportunity here, which is what makes it so doggone beautiful. Rayetta, real quick, I saw you, dear. Don't put your hand down. Come back.
Yep, I was gonna answer your question about having your selling all your furniture moment.
Yeah.
And mine was 2 years ago. I just had no other option. I can't go back to work. I have arthritis, so I just talked to my upline, Paul Archuleta, and I said, this has got to happen now. Got to do this. And he locked arms with me, and it's been challenging at points. It's been scary, and I just keep walking forward. I keep making mistakes. Still get confused here and there, tongue-tied, scared, but I have my upline who's always encouraged me, telling me, keep going, you're doing great. You got this many sales to do, and we got this, we're gonna go do this. And he's just been there helping me along the way, scheduling groups and showing me how to do this. So it's still challenging. I still goof up every now and then, but as far as I know, every time I mess it up, I learn a lot and I just get
Okay.
better and better. So it is true that you just really have to step into it. You have to take that scary and just do it. And it is hard, but once you have that support system in place and you have everybody patting you on the back, there's times you're going to really fall and you'll probably quit for 2 or 3 days, but you eventually get back up and you go at it again and you learn a great deal about the people. You learn about the plan, the legal plan, the ID shield. When you start talking about it, you realize you don't really know all of it. And then you're like, okay, I need to go back and study this again, or go, how do I present it this time? And the whole time you're just growing and growing and growing. And you do have to mess up to get better. So that's kind of been my experience. So I'll hand it back to you.
See, right there is why you want 100 of your associates on the call and 100 of their guests on the call, just to hear what Rayetta just said right there. You know, I mean, what I find challenging, and what Rayetta said, it can be hard, it can be challenging. I'm like, give me the Legal Shield hard, give me the Legal Shield challenge over reporting to my boss. You know what boss is, you know what boss means spelled backward? Double SOB. I don't know if you guys ever had a boss, but I had a couple. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I can't take another day of this. What's hard is sitting in that same damn cubicle for 20 years. What's challenging, what's hard is having somebody tell you what they feel you're worth and then not getting a cost of living raise each year. I find those things are what's really hard and what's challenging. So Rayetta, I salute you on that Sell Your Furniture Day, saying I am not going back to work and I am going to draw a line in the sand and make it happen with Legal Shield. And I'm going to salute Paul Archuleta for stepping up and being the 2x2 partner that he is. And here's the other beautiful thing. Calls like this show that everybody can have a partner in Legal Shield. They can have every one of you as a partner. They can have me as a partner. They can have the Shield Nation team as a partner. Maybe you can't get a hold of me at times when you need a call, but guess what? Somebody else is going to be available. All right. And if I can be, I will be, you know, and that's 27 years later. All right. Anybody else before we all wish each other a great happy 4th of July week and let you guys get back to closing out the month if you still need to do so. There's Big Paul on the phone. Hey, Big Paul, love you, man. Michael, real quick.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I was just going to say, you know, thinking about time and, you know, things happen in time. What comes to mind with me is Coca-Cola. You know, its first year, I think they sold something like 25 bottles, you know. Very humble beginnings for this giant today. So, you know, it's going to happen. If you stick to it, it's going to happen. The timing is important.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. So, good thing is we're not selling vinyl records and we're not selling cassette decks or fax machines. So we're all in pretty good shape. Hey, just big shout out to all you guys. Enjoy this week. Enjoy the 4th. Godspeed on qualifying for Performance Club or anything else you need to be doing tonight as you close out the month. And listen, the timing's right. You guys have the leadership skills. You're more than a step ahead of where we started in 2025. Let the world see your fruit. Let the world see and hear what it is you've got to offer because they want a part of it. I love you guys and have a great 4th week.
You too,
Thank you for
John.
everything, guys. Great
All righty.
call.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
John.
Nice, John.
Good
Have
night,
a
everyone.
dandy 4th. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Good night, Miss Johnson.
Everyone.